with. The evidence should be there. Where are the injured police officers that merit excessive force of live
I'm sure
ammunition
the
being
television
used?
stations were there.
But the nurse reported as well that after one of the men was shot, police went in and attempted to dig the warhead out of the person's body with his hand, and the hospital administration objected and chased them. So you're talking about a fascist type approach to
It
to
was
state.
so dangerous for the medical personnel in Linden last night that to retrieve the injured, people who are seriously injured, some of them, one of them was a dead man. In fact, two of them, they were suppressed. They couldn't get close to the bodies. Persons may have been alive and could not have received medical attention because the nurses and the gentleman, one of the nurse at the hospital, said that he was waving a white flag.
This is war then. You wave a white flag in war.
And he was shot at. Couldn't go to the body to check to see if he can render assistance.
In fact, when we picked up the guy, that particular nurse, because he was there, and he said to us, he was instructing us how to hold the guy while he went to assist some other persons, and the police continued to shoot live rounds, pellets. They also fired the tear gas. You had elderly people there. You had children there.
One of the dead included an handicapped child.
That's not even 18 years old.
These young men would have thrown their bodies in front of women and children and lost their lives.
Was there a showdown? Was there a showdown between the police and...
This happened. I would have finished delivering my presentation on the bridge, and within minutes of that happening, pandemonium broke out. Lights were out in the community and shots started to fire.
Also, the lights went out as well.
Black out the community.
Exactly.
They started
So
with
there
we
was
have
some
a bridge. We have a bridge
Yes.
filled with men, women, and children, and this is how those persons were treated.
How does this compare with two sets of things? How does this compare with how protest is facilitated in the developed world and the mayhem? How does it compare with what
Why you
happens?
gone to the developed world?
Let me tell you this. We have had, like I said just now, over a dozen demonstrations, protests on this particular issue. Over a dozen. We've been peaceful. We've been consistent in our position. We've never threatened property, life, or limb. We've had 40 plus meetings. They were all peaceful, respectful. We've engaged the police. We've sat with them. We went through the details in terms of our program at these meetings. We've informed them about the speakers. So I don't see why last night we would have had such an engagement when we would have demonstrated our discipline.
So last night's meeting, you had made a request to have that meeting?
Yes, we got permission. In fact, let me say this. The people who were on the bridge yesterday, I received, and I said this at the press conference earlier, a letter by Mr. Emmett Alves, who's the engineer for the Linden Mine Secretariat, that the bridge would have been closed today and tomorrow anyhow. The people would not have been impeding the traffic because the bridge would have been closed for maintenance. So it's difficult for me to understand why then you would use such excessive force when the bridge would not have been in use the day after.
And also, we must take note that police officers from Linden reported also that there were police officers there that they don't know them. Persons were dressed in police officers' clothes, but they were not. They could not recognize these persons
as police.
Police officers.
We were reliably informed from sources in the police force that the Ministry of Home Affairs got involved, and amidst those were elements of the old phantom who they put in police uniform, had guns, and did what was done. Now, to the extent the people of Linden can't turn off the light, you had to have the state collaborating to turn off the light in Linden, black the place out, and then the police start shooting. That can't be an accident.
So this was premeditated.
I was just behind these people. I was like between a distance from ear to the wall behind these people when they were shooting. I remember at one occasion there was a man over in in the compound,
Secretariat.
in the secretariat compound, standing, and one of these men in black clothes turned the gun to shoot the man, and there was an inspector who said to him 5 times, "Don't shoot the man, don't shoot the man," 5 times, right? These guys, headed by Todd, I believe he's assistant superintendent Todd, the same guy who was involved in the
6th of June.
in the,
6 of December.
the December issue of
shooting.
shooting Collins and Bond and the rest. He was heading it. And these guys were.
Is he
firing
based in
good-
Linden normally?
No.
What has happened with them? They started with the tear gas.
Yes.
And the tear gas, the guys continued to stand up, just took off their shorts
Shirt, wet them.
and wet them, and they just wrapped their thing. So that in itself, I don't know what that has done, if it has frustrated them, but and from the tear gas, they moved straight into the bullets.
In fact, the guy, I don't know if it's the same guy, but the guy that was standing under the secretariat, he was shot in the mouth.
You know?
He had to go into
My
immediate
information
surgery.
from inside the police force was that you had the regular squad,
Yeah.
which was coming to tear gas, but amidst them, centrally controlled by Freedom House. They were the ones who were armed and were killing the people. It's ironic that they did it on Mandela's birthday.
That's supposed to be
Yes.
a day for freedom.
Yesterday was a day for freedom, but the government honors Mandela by shooting
Innocent and unarmed.
innocent and unarmed people in
And
Linden.
it's the same month, because it's the 6th of July, we had the Son Chapman.
So Linden seems
But
to.
it's the same month. Is it not July month? It was the office of the president when they charged Ben Scott on them.
I can't remember. honestly.
Yes, and today was the day. Todd is famous for July. You know. Today was the day that Todd. Today, 19th, is the anniversary when he arrested, when he came with the squad to transgress the rights of Witter, Ben Scott, and myself in front of the thing. So this guy.
So it's a common denominator in
Yeah.
this.
Yes,
an
but I
instrument of the
think what
state.
is very sad, and I would like to express my deepest condolences and my sympathies to the family, is that at the moment Linden is preparing to bury its dead. We're preparing to assist those families who've lost their loved ones. We've met with them. We've met them at the hospital. We saw persons with raw emotion expressing their outrage, their anger. Thousands of people are in the streets right now. It's raining in Linden and people are still in the streets. They would not move, and I said this to the president this afternoon, that the people demand justice and they will not relent until they have the justice that they deserve.
What solidarity have they gotten from their fellow Guyanese?
I think around the world we've galvanized international support. Around the country, people are outraged, and rightly so, that this was an act of war. Because for you to fire live rounds into unarmed protesters and women and children says a lot about your mentality. And for that, any right-minded Guyanese or human being should be enraged or outraged by
That's
this.
the question I was asking earlier. How does this compare with what happens in other countries where ever so often in television we see all sorts of massive protests? Do we see the kind of shooting, live rounds
Well,
being
look,
used?
it's evident that they intended to kill Lindeners. If you choose that commander and send him to Linden, and you know he has a history of this kind of activity, most people know he's a close friend of the Minister of Home Affairs. It means you intended to do just what you did. And Sam Hines, and I mentioned Sam Hines because he tries to claim he's a Lindener. If he is as guilty of murder as is the commander and those policemen. The other thing I think that is worrying them is that they know that there are people in Linden who saw who shoot who.
Yes. In fact, I was shot at in the height of assisting 2 elderly women. And the officer turned around and he pointed the gun and he fired a shot. And these people were doing nothing. They were just protesting peacefully.
Well, I think that really we have moved from sadness to gloom and to more gloom. And I can see the emotions and the sadness and the grief even on your faces as we wind down this program. On behalf of Spotlight and the management of HBTV 9, we express our condolences to those relatives, children, friends, all of Linden, who are tonight grieving the death of their compatriots. And we do hope that reason and wisdom will prevail and that Linden will return to normalcy. This is your moderator, Vincent Alexander, once again thanking you for viewing Spotlight.
The new Alcatel FM radio phone from GT&T.